Hello and welcome back to Intimate Encounters with Adam
and Samantha.
And today
we're joined by one of Adam's friends who he's known since
I've been born. Literally, our mothers were pregnant together. We were born 20 days apart. I don't think I've known anyone as long as this girl.
Who's older?
Me, by 20 days.
Oh.
I always teased her about it. She's not very happy.
But then I was always taller, so...
Yeah, so, some things, you win some, you lose some.
Anyway.
And she's called Sally.
Her name is Sally. She's coming to us from the United Kingdom.
No.
Is she? Not?
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
She is. I just know no person from the United Kingdom would say it like that. From the United Kingdom. It's just not. Anyway, and today we're talking about mental health in relationships. So I guess we've already kind of started off. So Sally, could you quickly introduce yourself and tell us why you wanted to talk about this?
So I wanted to talk about it because it's something I've got a lot of experience in. I have had mental health issues since I was about 16, dated quite a few people with mental health issues, dated people who don't have mental health issues. I just think it's a really important topic to talk about.
Awesome. Well, let's get right into it with our first question then.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that it's possible to have a healthy relationship, whether that's a friendship, dating, sex, if you don't talk about mental health issues with the person that you're going to be with?
I think it's something that you've always got to consider and always got to think about. Even if the person doesn't have any diagnosable mental health conditions, mental health is something that everybody has. You've got to be aware of your partner's issues, your partner's insecurities, all that kind of thing, while if it's just a sexual relationship.
Sure. I mean, even if it's a friendship, even if it's just going on one date with someone, I think it's always important to be aware that there are some triggers that could go on during a date. Or if you say something and they freak out or they get upset about something, or, for example, they might start crying during sex instead of being like, what's going on? You weirdo, maybe addressing it or trying to think up, why did this trigger them, instead of running away.
Yeah. I think that I feel this is one thing I've actually learned more from living with you, Sam, for the past about 2 months in quarantine, that when things build up and if there are any issues, it's really important to just share them and communicate about them. Because otherwise, at least for me, they just build and build and build.
Yeah.
And then they kind of explode. And that has happened a few times. But I think we're getting better at, talking about it and dealing with them. And I think it's always going to come up.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how do you transition? How do you ask those things? How do you bring those things up in new partnerships, for example? Is there ever a time where you say, I have this thing about me? Like when do you bring up, say, I have anxiety about this, I have a depression, or I have something and I want to share this with you? Do you bring that up on a first date? When do you bring it up?
I tend to bring it up really soon in whatever relationship I'm having, because it's such a huge part of my life and it's something that affects my life every day. And also, if I want the relationship to go somewhere, I don't want someone who's going to run for the hills the minute they find out I've got mental health problems. So I'm always very open about it. I'm open about it with everyone, with strangers even. And yeah, so I think it's really important to talk about it, and it's really important to get it out in the open, so that stuff that happens, they're aware of the possible consequences.
For sure. I personally have an incredibly hard time talking about this in particular, even though I know that I do have anxieties about things, even though I know that I do sometimes get depressed or I feel a certain way, because I feel like I'm presenting myself in a certain way. And it's so hard to break past that. It's like, okay, you're this fun, crazy girl and you get depressed sometimes. Your depression days, what? Like, how do you bring that up? It's something that I'm still kind of grappling with.
Yeah. Go on, sorry.
I have masked. I've had those masks for a really long time, and it built and built and built and built. And when I was on my 17th birthday, it got so bad that I tried to kill myself. Like, I know that masking doesn't help me, and I know that it's like a swan. It's like all serene on top, and I'm pedaling like mad underneath. So I will always be honest, and I will always talk about it. Like, even with my relationship with my family, my mental health isn't an elephant in the room. It's something we talk about. It's something we look after, and that's a really positive thing for me. And it's really difficult to do because you make yourself so vulnerable the minute you tell someone something like that. But ultimately, at least for me, it's the only way I can be.
I think it's so great that in the last few years we've seen this rise of mental health being talked about a lot more, and it becoming more normal to say, look, I'm not okay. And it's not like maybe like it is just one day, or maybe it is like a repeated thing that hasn't gone away and you need help. And I think that is really helping to, in terms of dating, I think if you bring it up now, people aren't going to be as shocked. And I think people won't, like, some people won't be able to deal with it. But I think, yeah, you do have to be upfront about it and be honest with it. I guess from the start, like, I think that makes sense, Sally.
I'm almost thinking that a lot of people would be able to relate.
Yes.
Because everybody has something. Like, nobody's perfect. Nobody's normal. Everybody's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Some more than others, but you know.
And I think as well, being, I had this thought, I think it was yesterday, about being vulnerable in that you risk the pain, but I feel like in order to have that proper connection and to really truly feel alive, you have to be vulnerable and have to be your true self. Whereas if you mask it, in a way you're avoiding the pain, but really I think you're probably just delaying it until later.
Yeah.
But you're also delaying your own happiness if you're not as vulnerable, and you're delaying the chance to be as happy as you could be. And it's scary, but yeah.
It's all risk and reward, really, in that sort of context. And that's how I weigh it up in my head. I completely agree with you, Adam, that like without that connection, without being vulnerable, without being open, you don't build that connection with someone, and without that connection, you can't take steps to have a fulfilling relationship.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So can you think of a time where you've had something semi of a fulfilling relationship without being vulnerable?
Yes. And I can see where you're coming from here, and I do think you're right. And they tend to be relationships that I, in my head, have gone, this is strictly sexual. Like, I don't want anything more from it. And I'm getting fulfillment out of it because I'm getting what I want without opening up and being more vulnerable than I want to be with that person.
Yeah. I've almost treated it like playing a game almost, and I do get to have that expression of myself without having to be vulnerable. And it keeps it light, it keeps it fun, and it keeps it so that I don't have to deal with those things when I don't want to. And I think
it's like you can step away from it, and you can be like, I can be with this person who knows none of those things about me, and I can just be who I am in that minute.
Okay, segue. I'm just wondering, have you ever pretended to be and make up your own persona when you're meeting people and going on dates? And if you have, how long did you keep that going for?
Are you saying that you've done this?
I'm just saying theoretically.
I think I've done it in a club. I've definitely done it in a club when I'm feeling just silly. I just go up to random strangers, and there's 700 random strangers there, and I'm never going to see them again. But I don't think I've ever gone on a date, and I don't think I've ever slept with anyone.
Okay.
When that's happened. Have you?
No
I feel like that's borderline entrapment, but no, I haven't. I tend to be very open and very honest, and that's sort of the parameters of my life are that I try to be as honest with myself and with other people as I can be. So I've never made up a persona, but I am a bit of a chameleon. Because one of my conditions gives me real insecurity, like really insane insecurity, and one of the ways that for me it like presents itself is that I will change my personality without realizing it to please the person that I'm with. Yeah,
I do the exact same thing all the time, and I can even hear it in my accent, the way that I speak. Sometimes I'll say certain words, or I'll speak in a certain way. If I'm around someone that says like a lot, I'll say like a lot.
Yeah.
If I'm around someone that, I don't think I've really picked it up from you. Sometimes if there's a twang, if I listen to, say, a British person or an Australian person, when I was living in Australia, I would call my mom and she's like, what's wrong with your accent? It's super strange. So I was around Aussies all the time. And I think, especially in Mexico, there's just, there's so many that I can't really chameleonize
yourself.
Chameleonize myself to any particular person. But I definitely do this in relationships. I can definitely say if someone's introverted and wants to stay home and not party and go crazy, I might do that more often. If I'm with someone who's really extroverted and wants to go party, I'll go do that all the time. But my baseline is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, definitely. And a part of the 18 months that I've been single has been me working out what's my baseline and what is stuff that I picked up from other people.
Yeah. I found that living with you, Sam, I say some more American words like garbage or trash, and I say trash like that. I don't say the
trash.
Trash.
Do you not say garbage?
No, rubbish.
Oh, okay.
Rubbish. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever properly molded myself too much. I think recently, the past few years, though, like 2 years, I would say, I've been focused really on trying to honestly express who I am and really trying to find out what that is and experimenting with different things. But usually that's through my own inner experimentation and own inner choices and seeing what works.
Eureka!
On this point, though, actually, one thing I have found I do is if I go and live with certain people or spend a lot of time with certain people, I'm super open. And one of the reasons I will want to live with them is to learn from them and to take the traits that I like from them as my own.
Oh, so you do the same thing, but you're more aware of it and like have sort of weaponized it at this point.
Yeah. So, for example, Sam invites people around all the time, is incredibly sociable, and I've never had that really in my life. You're always messaging people, you're always inviting people to do things, you're always organizing things, and I always thought, my God, how do you always do this many activities and have this many friends? And it's because you're putting the time and effort in to do that, and I haven't been doing that, and therefore don't have the social life that you do. But now I'm kind of tacked on you, so
you just get whatever I have.
I'll just get whatever you have. But yeah, I think that's an interesting. I've actually found that really valuable, a way to kind of weaponize it, as you said.
Yeah, I definitely don't see it as much of a weapon as I do as kind of a burden sometimes, because I notice myself doing things that I wouldn't normally do, and that I enjoy them in the moment, but I think what's happening right now and why am I doing this thing that I don't really like, and do I actually enjoy it? And then that goes into anxiety and this loop of what's going on in my head right now, and I question everything.
How do you deal with it when it comes up?
How do I deal with it when it comes up?
Yeah, when something like that happens.
I don't a lot of the time, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
I can take that a step further and say that I'm absolutely know that I have done things that I absolutely hate, like that are completely against my morals and all that kind of thing, and it's left me with trauma and blah blah blah, and it's all big horrible spiral of shit. But it's that quality in me that made me do it and made me feel like in the moment that like it was what I wanted to do, and that I didn't have a choice but to say yes to the person. And it's really confusing and really difficult to unpick that knowledge that you weren't really in control at the time. Sorry, it's raining really hard.
We can't hear it.
We can't. It's all right.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely I think one of the things that I find weirdest about it is that I say no so regularly to things that I don't like and I don't care about.
Yeah.
People I don't like, situations I don't like. And so it freaks me out so much when there are certain people in my life or certain relationships that I want to be in that influence me to say yes when I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I'm working on. It's a lifelong work on thing. And I think that saying no to things I don't want to in my life regularly helps a bit in that circumstance. And also having positive people around me helps that. And being able to talk about it openly and honestly, which I don't talk about stuff like this a lot open and honestly with people because I try to keep things very high level, fun, exciting. Because I don't feel comfortable talking about stuff like this on a regular basis. I think that that's something that will help me is being open and honest about stuff like this. And I don't have a solution. I don't have something that I can go to make me feel better about this. It's just something that in the future I hope to be better at and to not fall into.
Definitely. And I feel as though there's sort of that line that you feel like you can't cross, and when you feel yourself cross it because of someone else, you stop trusting yourself. And it took me a really long time to build that trust back up, that trust in myself, my own judgment, my own decisions. And it's really confusing. It's a really confusing thing to deal with in your own brain.
Yeah, I don't have a concrete solution of how to fix. Like there isn't one. It's just time, and it's just learning, and it's just more experience. The older I get, I'm 31, 30 something.
Yeah.
And so the older I get, the more comfortable I am with these feelings and feeling more secure about myself. And the more secure I feel about myself, the better able I am to say, fuck no. We had to say fuck no about this. Yes about this. This is something I actually care about. This is something I actually want. And then long term, it helps me feel better about myself.
I think like I'm 25, I'm the same age as Adam, and the thing that I've learned since I was 18, when like this was a real big issue for me, is to surround myself with, because I am such a massive people pleaser, like to like a pathological degree. I will be like, I'll do that for you, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you, I'll make you random stuff. Yeah, he's the same, I know he is. So I've surrounded myself with people who don't take advantage of that, basically, who would never ask me to do something that contradicts my morals, that makes me uncomfortable, and who don't take advantage of the fact that I do that.
Yeah. I think this is something that we're working through all the time. I think it's been highlighted quite a lot in quarantine, especially. I think we've just had to deal with it at times when it's built up, right? We've had to have some more less fun chats.
Yeah.
And I think you just know going into it, well, this is gonna fucking suck. You're like, oh great, oh do I want to just sit here in this kind of what's the word, purgatory of not feeling like super happy or sad, or do I want to dive into this fucking shit conversation? Oh yeah, sure, let's do that. But I think it always seems that when you get to the other side, you're always glad you did it, right?
Yeah, but it's also having that other person that's open to having that conversation.
Yeah, you need that. You need the other person.
Where both of us are I think, pretty open to hearing what the other person's saying.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out solutions.
Yeah.
That make both of us happy. Whereas I've been in relationships or friendship, like any kind of relationship where I've never been met halfway. It's turned into an argument, or it's turned into like me running away physically because I'm just like, I can't deal with this. Because I really don't like yelling. I don't like yelling. If somebody yells at me, I can't handle it. I need to just get away. Unless it's like a happy yell, like, yeah!
Which she does all the time.
All the time.
Never end.
I've 100% been there, Sam, like running away from a relationship because I can't deal with the argument, and also that really struck a chord with me. And then also the idea that, what was I going to say? It's gone from my brain. Just gone from my brain. What did you just say, Sam?
Arguments and running away from a problem.
You need someone who is open to the change as well.
Compromise was what I was going to say. Compromise and being open, and the relationship that you two have seems really healthy, even though it's just a platonic relationship. The openness, the willingness to compromise, the willingness to talk and to change your opinion based on the other person's opinion and meet them halfway is something that I consider really healthy.
Okay, thoughts on what's going through my head right now is that you have to have those conversations, right? Because otherwise you're just going to be in that purgatory where you're neither happy or nor sadness, just building up and building up. And if you have that conversation and the other person isn't willing to compromise or isn't willing to work through it, then it seems to me that then it's your decision to leave, really, and that you have to say, look, I actually really want this, as this is really important to me. It's actually okay that you don't want to give that to me. It's totally fine. However, therefore I have to go because I need this.
I think that's absolutely fair, and I've done it with people, I've done it with friends, I've done it in relationships, and I've done it recently with friends where I've been like, this is my boundary and you have crossed it, or I've done that to them and I've tried to initiate the conversation and they've just flat out refused to engage. I was like, well, that's on you, that's your decision, and I respect it, but I don't have to play ball. And I walked away.
And that's scary.
I'm really good at this though in friendships.
Yes, you are. You're the best person I've ever seen actually in friendships doing this.
At setting my boundaries, setting my limits, making sure that I am mentally happy and healthy with all of the friendships that I have. But I'm so bad at this with relationships or people that I find enthralling. I don't know.
You want to rip their clothes off.
Yeah, it's very difficult for me to switch. My brain has something wrong with it in that area. Not wrong. It's a little bit damaged, and I still am working on that. Because I think I used to be like this in friendships, and it has changed over time.
Wait, you mean relationships?
Friendships.
But you said you're already like this in friendships.
No, like I'm already good.
Yeah. Oh, I see. You were already.
Yeah, I was damaged, and now I'm better.
Got you.
So I used to be just, I don't know, being a chameleon with friends and trying to do all these things, and now I'm very much like, if you like it or leave it. Like I'm not going to change who I am to be friends with you. I'm going to be loud. I'm going to be proud. I'm going to pee behind that bush. You got to be okay with it. And I need to own that with my romantic partners as well.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm learning step by step.
Why is this so difficult? Why is there that boundary? And I definitely would have it as well. I
think it's just a fear of rejection.
Yeah.
Because for me, especially, there's so few people, especially the older I get, of people that I'm interested in. I just am interested in less people. With friends, I meet loads of amazing people. Loads. So I'm like, I have my pick of like Olympic-sized swimming pools full of people that I love, I adore, I want to be friends with all these people. And then you get one of those, you know what happens after you go to a sauna and then you have to go in that really deep skinny pool where you have to go down and it's really, really cold, the ice bath. That's my pick of men that I'm actually interested in. So I'm like, I got this one shot to not fuck up. So like, what do I gotta do? Who do I gotta be to get that, get in that deep, skinny, cold pool?
Yeah.
I think that's it. That's it for me. It's the fear of rejection of that small, tiny, cold, shitty pool.
I completely agree with the fear of rejection thing. I also feel like, at least for me, it's a lack of self-confidence and a lack of self-worth. If that makes sense in that context.
Completely agree.
Yeah, I feel like, over the past few years, I've definitely been working on myself a lot and learning more about relationships and how I feel in them and that. And I think the word that went through my head then is scarcity, right? You're in abundance with friends, but you're in this scarcity mindset that this is your one shot. If it doesn't work, that's it. I'm completely fucked. And we build this story in our head of, oh, well, I'm placing all my happiness on them and I'm so horny and they'll be able to satisfy me and the sex will be so amazing and we'll have this super deep connection and it'll just be better than ever and oh my God, that my life will be so much better. But in a way that could be true.
But in reality probably not.
Probably not, yeah. And it may be great, but you're okay. This is something I'm reminding myself of. You're okay on your own. You're fine and happy enough. You're good right now. You're amazing right now. And this other person would be great, but if they're not the right fit, then it wouldn't be a great fit. If they're actually a terrible fit for you, there's nothing to gain from diving in with them, you know?
Forcing it at the same time, like diving in with them, but also forcing it, like changing yourself to allay your fears, changing yourself to attract them. It won't work in the long run.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So, segueing, I'm wondering, for both of you and for myself, how have like mental health issues that you've dealt with played into your sex lives? Whether that be like a flaccid penis, or maybe your vagina's too tight, or you can't get wet, or you can't orgasm, or whatever that means to you.
I guess the big one is I can't orgasm with another person, and I can't orgasm when I masturbate.
Wait, so you can't orgasm, period?
Full stop?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Wow. Used to be able to, can't anymore.
Huh. So what's going through your mind? Or is it because you can't shut your mind off, or like what is it about it that makes it hard that you used to be able to but you can't now?
Yeah, and I have no clue what it is, none at all. But yeah, so I think it's a self-confidence issue. I feel like it's probably all that stuff going on in my brain, all those issues with myself that I have playing into that. And also, like, it takes a while with a girl. Like, it takes a while. It doesn't take me a while to do it to a girl, but it takes a while with me. And like, I just get bored, and I'm like, I'm just gonna fake it now.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have a very difficult time orgasming with a partner. Like pretty much at all. I would say like 1 out of every 50 times I can. And it's if I feel incredibly comfortable and I'm able to let my guard down, and it still can take a while. It usually doesn't. If it happens, it's going to happen pretty quickly. And that's kind of how it is with masturbation with me. I usually will orgasm within the first probably 3 minutes of masturbating, and usually will orgasm within the first 3 to 5 minutes of sex. If it takes any longer, it's just not going to happen because I'm just not feeling comfortable. I'm thinking too much, or they're just doing something that I don't enjoy, and I'm not either able to communicate it properly and they're not following what I'm trying to communicate, or I'm just not feeling like telling them, or a combination of all those things. I'm just not comfortable. And I think that definitely plays into it a bit. I've had to just tell people to leave, and I want to stop, and then feeling like weird pressures, and that's a whole other story. But yeah, and I've definitely had issues around not being able to get wet, or if we're having sex and it's usually because it's honestly, it's just usually not pleasurable, or I'm thinking about something else, or they're focusing too much on something, and then it makes me more anxious that I'm not, and I'm like, now I feel it, and it's weird, and stop. So is all that coming into play?
I would say though, despite the thing that I just told you, all that kind of thing, I would say I still really enjoy sex. I do still really enjoy sex, and I still enjoy having sex with different partners. I still really enjoy having sex with guys and with girls and all that kind of thing. So like, it doesn't affect my ability to enjoy sex. It's just the actual act of climaxing that I can't do.
No, 100%. And I find it really strange and kind of it's so weird to have this conversation with guys being like, no, like, I'm really enjoying it. And they're like, I want to make you come. And I'm like, stop fucking focusing on that, because you're ruining now my pleasure. You're ruining my pleasure by focusing so hard on making me come, because you're just literally rubbing my clit as hard as you can. And now it's just sensitive and it hurts. If you just focused on giving me pleasure, if you just focused on being in the moment with me and enjoying me and enjoying my company, I would enjoy myself more and probably orgasm. Stop focusing so hard on making me come, and I might come, because there's so much pressure now.
It is pressure.
I'm the exact same. I feel pressure to come, definitely. And even if girls I've been seeing for a while, if a girl says to me, I really want you to come, or I want you to come now, or something, as they do sometimes if we've been going for a while, that does fuck me up, especially if I don't feel I'm that close, and they're like, I want you to come for me, and I'm like, I can't, and then I try and force it, and then I feel bad that I didn't, and then yeah, the just limp dick just goes down because you're trying to force it so much, and then it doesn't come, and you're like, well, now I've disappointed you, now I've disappointed myself. Yeah, that is annoying. That is annoying. But at the same time, sometimes it's pretty hot. Sometimes it's hot. If they're like, I want you to come, and you're like, yeah, and then you do. You're like, we did it. High five. Whoa. Teamwork. Let's go. Who's awesome? We're awesome.
Oh my god.
But yeah.
That's just a very interesting point though, because the reason that I sometimes say I just want you to come is because I feel that they're just trying to make me orgasm or something, so that's why they're holding out and trying to go for longer, is my thought.
Right.
Is that, I'm just going to think about things that aren't this naked lady that I'm pounding.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm just going to try and avoid orgasming, and I'm like, just fucking come, because it's not really, it's clear you're not into it.
Yeah.
Is my thought. I'm like, it's clear that you're just trying, like, because if you're thinking about something else, you're not clearly into it, and you're not there, you're not present in the moment. So I'm like, just come, because like, I don't want to be here anymore, and then we're good.
You see, what's going through my mind in those situations, I think that's a very good point, because I'm thinking back to some of those situations right now, is I'm maybe losing interest a little bit, or maybe I'm just a bit tired, or I want to break, or I want to change it up. And again, I think it's still because I've been raised on porn, and it's just like bam, 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 non-stop for 30 minutes. And that's just not the way it's supposed to be. But this idea of, what was it? Fuck's sake. Yeah, I feel I'm losing it a bit, and I'm like, therefore I need to come. So I'm never thinking, I'm trying to not come. I'm always thinking like, I'm not able to, and I'm trying to force it. So I'm actually the opposite. I don't think many guys do suffer that. I haven't spoken to many guys who have the same issue as me. Okay. But mine is always not that I'm going to come too quickly, but that I won't come.
See, but again, like, we're not always coming.
Yeah.
And so it might be interesting to have that dialogue beforehand, because I can tell when a guy isn't into it, and they're either trying to think about something else, or they're worried they're going to lose their erection, or they're
Yeah,
not going to come. And I can tell that it was different, and then it changed.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
If you're into it at all, you can feel it. It's just like, you can. Anyway.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Like, you can feel their attention shift and their like concentration shift off you, and you're like, what happened there? Like, I'm naked, come on.
Yeah.
And it's really bizarre. And like, for me with the BPD, that makes me go snap, and I will do anything to get their attention back. And that is very much me with my mental health. And being very clingy, being very obsessive about things, being very attached is all part and parcel of borderline personality disorder, having really strong attachments to people. And that with sex comes along with a whole barrel of issues with consent. And that's been my personal experience of it.
May I? One thing you said that was great, Sam, which I really want to highlight.
Oh, me?
Oh wait, no, actually, Sam. But on top of that point, Sally, in terms of losing the focus, and on this whole topic, is that you should be focused on the pleasure, and that you want to maintain that focus with each other there, and that it's okay to have these ebbs and flows, and that, you know, you might be super horny and then you might want to slow it down, you might want to mix it up, or you might want to maybe even stop for a bit, or this, and that's actually okay. Again, I feel I say this fucking all the time on this show, that like porn has fucked me up, in this is not what happens, right?
You don't have a break.
It's not what happens. There's no breaks, there's no nothing, there's
chat,
no ebb and
no
flow.
cuddle.
The guy always comes, like the girl's always fucking screaming and loving it.
And that's not reality.
It's just not true.
All.
But bringing as well, Sally, what you said with consent, wrapping all this together in our last episode with Roxanne about consent, was she gave this analogy of don't think of sex as this battle, this competition, but rather like you're playing music together,
having a jam,
and it's just I'm not sure I like the word fun, but it's an experience you're sharing with each other, and the experience itself is the end.
Yeah, there's no start. Well, there is a start, there is an end, but you don't have to feel like you came out of it
But there's no predefined end.
There we go.
There's no predefined start. That you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to go. It could be quick. It could be really long. You could do it for a bit, take a break, go for a walk, do more, whatever. And yeah, and that's okay. And for some reason, yeah, I think we don't. That isn't in our heads yet. And I think that would be a really cool thing to try. And I'm definitely going to keep it in my head for my next sexual encounters.
And on that note,
we think that might be a lovely place to wrap up.
Okay.
Do you have any final points, Sally?
No, well, thank you very much for a chat today. It's been really fun while I've been stuck in lockdown. And I hope you all stay well as well in Bulgaria.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I really appreciate your honesty in sharing all of this. And I think we've all learned loads. I
definitely learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I think this is such an important topic to be discussing. It's something that with this show, I originally thought, oh, we can just talk about sex. And it's something that I'm happy to talk about I can talk about sex for ages. I can, whatever, totally comfortable with it. But stuff like this, not super comfortable for me. Anything to do with emotions and relationships and dating, that's weird for me. And I know everyone has their own pitfalls, and this is mine. It's difficult, and I know that I should be talking about it more, and talking about it more makes it more comfortable for everyone. Everyone will be better because of it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
That's all right. But lovely to meet you.
Thank you for watching. Viewers, if you like this, please give us a like.
Tell your friends.
Share.
If you want to come on the show, please let us know.
We would love to talk about anything to do with
sex,
relationships,
dating,
mental health,
romance,
friendships,
dildos.
That's gonna make a nice little cut. That'll be good. Cool. And
so thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.